All righty. Give me 1 second to get this thing situated here. It reset all my stuff for some reason. Okay, we got that back. And we got that back. And we're good to go. All righty. Let me see here. All right. Yep, we're good to go. All righty. Everybody, good afternoon. Hope everyone's having fun today, having a good Sunday and all that type of stuff. So this is not going to be a very, very long show. I'm going to post a picture of something here in a little while that's going to be a preview of what the show is really going to start looking like long term. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to reward a good boy for being a good boy. Want this? Sit. Spin. Lay down. Fetch. All right, got that out of the way. So the slides are still not working. So what I did was I input most of the data that I wanted to display and talk about in regards to the game today. I put it into banners, which are the little Chiron looking things that you see down at the bottom. We're going to use those to be able to talk about how we're going to go about everything with this particular show. So we're going to go through some of the stats. We'll talk about this game, what Carolina needs to do to win this game. And then from there, we will discuss a little bit about the road trip because I wanted to do a video about that before and I just never got around to it. Highly successful road trip. And when you look at the numbers, it's really, really good. So let's see if we have any comments in here yet. Nope, not yet. All righty. So here's what we'll start with. Let's go to the banners. Oh, wait, that's not the one I meant to. All right. So first things first, when it comes to Carolina and Washington, very, very close record-wise as well. Washington has played some pretty solid teams. One win that they're kind of bragging about a lot that I don't think they should is Vegas because Vegas can't win on the road right now to save their life. But other than that, Washington is 8-2-0, Carolina 7-2-0. Washington beat Columbus yesterday, blew them out 7-2, had 2 goals on their first 2 shots. So there's one thing to take into account with Washington blowing out Columbus in their last game, Carolina blowing out Boston in their last game. Some of the overall goal totals and shot percentages and stuff like that is going to be a little bit inflated because that was only the 10th game of the season for Carolina and the 9th game of the season for Carolina and the 10th game of the season for Washington. And they both really pumped up their numbers with those totals. Those are both going to be a little bit inflated, and we'll look into that and everything here. So, second thing here, goals for, goals against all situations. Carolina has a plus 14 goal differential of 35-21. Washington has a differential of 44-29 for plus 15. Washington is scoring in bunches right now. One thing to account here, even though it's a very small sample size, Carolina is 2-1-0 at home. Washington is 2-1-0 away. One thing to note about Washington, all the games that they've won, except for one, they have scored 4 goals or greater. That's going to be something that I discuss here later on as well. Goals for per game, Carolina 3.89, Washington 4.40. Again, one thing to remember with this is that both of these are a little bit pumped up right now because before either of these teams hit their 10 or before either of these teams played 10 games or greater, they blew another team out by a goal differential of 5 or 6. That's going to inflate those numbers just a little bit. This is actually this is goals against per game. Carolina 2.33, pretty good. I would like to see it get to closer to 2.1 or maybe even sub 2. You could potentially do that over the course of the next few games. And the best part about it is you're playing Metropolitan Division teams this week, so this is a great time to have a good week. And then Washington is sitting right at 2.904 goals against per game as well. Power play, this is where Carolina has a really big overall advantage in the special teams despite their penalty kill numbers being close. We'll talk about that in a minute. Carolina has a 29% power play. That is excellent. Washington is struggling on the power play right now with only 9.1%, but they're scoring a lot 5-on-5. We will talk about what Carolina can do to mitigate Washington's ability to score 5-on-5 and ultimately have a way to win this game. Penalty kill, also pretty close. Carolina 85.7% to Washington 83.3%. If Carolina is going to get a really big net positive in special teams today, it's probably going to be 5-on-5. We will talk about that further here in a moment. Face-offs, pretty close. Carolina, 49.4. I would like to see them get back to above 50 for an average today. Washington, 47.3. Starting goalies. So Pyotr Kochekov is starting today. He has 4.10, 2.61 goals against average, and an 8.91 save percentage. Today is one of those days where if Carolina wins, he could potentially be back up above a 900 save percentage after this game is over. So the next thing that we're going to get into talking about a whole lot here, I didn't get a chance to upload all these lines. And like I said, I'm going to post a picture of what I have in mind for the tables in the future. Each line, when we play against a team, is going to take the data from moneypuck.com, and it'll be on a table where I can break down and talk about each line. I didn't get a chance to put them all in here, but I'm going to talk about the important ones. And I will flip back over to MoneyPuck to reference some stuff here in a little bit. Additionally, I forgot to mention Sam Wallace and AB from Caniac Sessions may be joining us later for the road trip recap. Charlie Lindgren, he's 3-2-0 with a 2.62 goals against average and an 8.82 save percentage. So you're starting to see how close these teams are in the numbers. Granted, it's only been 9 games for one team, 10 for the other. But even when you're looking at the goaltending right now, they're 1/100th of a point or 1/100th of a percent off in goals against average. So that's one thing to keep in mind there. And their save percentages are not very different. Now, here's what we're going to talk about. This is the biggest asset that Washington has right now. Alexander Ovechkin, Dylan Strome, Alexei Protas. This line is on fire. They have a goals percentage of 76.9. They have scored 10. They have 3 against. They are scoring at a rate of 2.14 goals per 60. Their expected goals for is 64.3. Their expected goals for percentage is 64.3. Expected goals for 5.4. Total with 3.85 per 60. That is excellent. Expected goals against of 3. 2.14 per 60. So they're not getting scored on above average, but they are scoring above average. Going on to the possession metrics of this line, Ovechkin, Strome, Protas, Fenwick for 62.1, shot attempts 77, which is 54.84 per 60, shot attempts against 47, these are all unblocked shot attempts. Fenwick against is 47 and 33.47 per 60. And finally, on to Corsi, 65.7 overall, 101 total shot attempts, 71.93 per 60. And Corsi against, they have 77 shots attempts against them at a rate of 54.83 per 60. So one of the things that I want to illustrate in comparison to a lot of Carolina's numbers, Washington is making the most of the opportunities in which they have the puck. We're going to get into talking about what Carolina can do to mitigate that. This is a totally winnable game, but it's going to be hard. This is probably going to be the hardest game that Carolina has had yet, and I'm not expecting a blowout either way, and I'd be really surprised if this game ended in regulation, to be honest. Now, you saw the giant net positive that you had on that first line there. 10 goals for 3 against. That is a huge differential. That's a huge net positive. They don't get as much of a net positive out of this particular line right here, but they're still getting one right here. Pierre-Luc Dubois, I haven't heard a whole lot of complaints about him, but I haven't had a whole lot of praise of him either. So we'll see tonight how much different he's really playing compared to his last couple of stops. So Connor McMichael, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Tom Wilson, 98.1 minutes time on ice. They have a goals percentage of 57.1, which is 8 goals for, 6 against. They're not scoring at fast of a pace as the first line with Ovechkin, Strome, and Protas. Expected goals percentage 61.3, which is 5.7 expected goals for and 2.2 expected goals against. Fenwick, 57.2 percentage for, 83 for, 62 against. And then lastly, Corsi for that line, 51.2%, 107 for, 102 against. So, and I actually did manage to get some of the Vrana, LaPierre, Mangiapane line in here, if it'll let me add it. Let me see if it'll let me add it. There we go. All right. So, Jakub Vrana, Maxim LaPierre, and Andrew Mangiapane. 51.2, their goals percentage, 57.1, goals for 8, goals against 6. So they have a differential of 2. Again, not gigantic. And then their fourth line, which I didn't get the chance to put in, is Duhaime, Dowd, and Radish, 95.5 minutes, and they are at a goal differential of 4 and 2. So, and then the Vrana, well, according to this, the Vrana, LaPierre, and Mangiapane line is 1 and 1. So they're dead even on production and giving it up. So I didn't get the chance to really input all the stuff for Washington's defensive pairs, but Jakob Chigrin being out is actually going to be beneficial to Carolina because he fills a similar role for Washington that Shane Gostisbehere fills for Carolina. Him and John Carlson have been on that top pair, and they've been doing really well together. So him being out of the lineup is going to be helpful. I don't know if Roy's going to be in the lineup yet or not. I can check real quick because I remember the other day Carberry said he was getting close. Let's see. Okay, so we do have a change here that's from 2:51 p.m. Bailey Johnson says, Sonny Milano draws in for Jacob Vrana tonight in Raleigh. Nothing specific Vrana did per Spencer Carberry, just an opportunity to get Milano back in the mix in second night of a back-to-back. Charlie Lindgren starts in net. Okay, so we do have that to consider there. Sonny Milano gave us a really hard time the last time that we played them up here. So the biggest thing that I want to highlight here, the biggest net positive that Washington is generating right now is the Ovechkin line. And then the other one being the Carlson and Chikrin pair, but the Carlson and Chikrin pair is not going to be a problem tonight since he's on IR. However, let's go back to the defensive pairings here and look at them again. Farivari and Carlson still pretty solid, though. They have a goals percentage of 63-4, 2 against. So the biggest thing that once we get to, let's see here, I'll get to some of the comments real quick. Samuel Wallace, what's up? I'll bring you in here momentarily, buddy. Coconut Kyle, need division wins in the Metro. Yeah, if we could win all 3 games this week, that would be really, really awesome. Raleigh 98, what's up, buddy? I don't usually comment much, but still watch every show. Appreciate all your efforts, man. Best Canes content out there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. I really do. I'm getting to where I'm really enjoying doing this stuff, and I'm trying to dedicate more time to it and improve the product, and I'm going to continue to do that as I can with working around a day job and commuting in the Washington metro area, which is not fun and very time-consuming. Caniac Sessions, what's up, dude? Driving to the arena, I'll be listening. Awesome. Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Coconut Kyle, unpopular opinion, don't really want to see Obi pass the great one. I'm kind of like about it because you guys know how I am. I'm more about the net positives of a player and how complete of a game they can play as opposed to, do they score? Cool, but are they valuable at the other end of the ice? That's one of the reasons I like Shane Gostisbehere so much is like, people undervalue how good his defense is. They just look at him and they just see an offensive defenseman. And I never saw him that way. I see a two-way defenseman who is offensively minded, who plays a chaotic game, but he's also controlled at the same time. Don't worry, I have a video project coming up about that. And very sorry about the glare on the screen. I can't really do anything about it because the sun's going down right now. It's just kind of, there we go. All right, that helps. All right, but Kenny XS says not that unpopular. Yeah, after that playoff series, like I know I've told this story a million times about where I was on the night of Game 7 since I didn't get to go to the game in anything. But after that playoff series, like I never really liked Washington. Like I was kind of like, I didn't hate them, but like once I moved up here, I was kind of like, wow, fuck these guys. I don't like them at all. And I say that having many, many, many friends who are Caps fans. One of my best friends in the whole world, Anthony, if you're watching this, shout out to you, buddy. I just don't like them. But, it's cool, though, because now we actually have a reason to hate a team and we can beat teams now. Because once upon a time, I was just hate watching because Carolina sucked. And now we're actually good. And we have rivalries and everything like that. Coconut Kyle also says didn't like them for years before that. Yeah, I've never liked them. But when I got up here, I was like, whoa, I think I might hate them worse than I hate Buffalo, which that's saying something. But I actually don't. I don't hate any team, I think, more than I hate Buffalo. I don't think it's I take that back. The Chicago Wolves. I hate them. So let me see about getting Alan and Sam in here. All righty. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get these emails sent out to them. I should have done it before, but I've just been swamped with stuff today because we're going on a trip tomorrow. So we're not going to be here. I'm not dealing with the election bullshit. We're literally going to be hiding in the wilderness. Catherine Bartlett, tough matchup. Kane's biggest advantages in special teams. Yes, we're going to get to all that as soon as I send the invites out here. All righty. But yeah, so here's the biggest thing, and I've got it on my notes here in what would have been on the winning elements page, but we're still having a problem with the Google Slides on here for some reason. It's a StreamYard wide issue, so it's not just me. If I had a second monitor, it would be a lot easier for me to present a lot of the stuff I want to talk about, which eventually I will have one, but I'm waiting until we get settled in South Carolina, and then I'm going to like actually start really building a better PC and a better desk and all that type of stuff. But yes, the Canes' biggest advantage, as you stated, Catherine, is in special teams, especially with Washington having a 9% power play and Carolina having 29%. Carolina could run away with this if the power play stays hot. You cannot rely on special teams to win. I think it's a good supplementary thing, but I'm always one who prioritizes 5. And I think the Hurricanes mindset of it is this as well, prioritizing 5-on-5 play, because there's a potential for a hockey game to be played entirely at 5-on-5. It will probably never happen again, but there is that possibility. There is the possibility that you don't see coincidental minors called the entire game, that you don't see a single minor penalty on either team called the entire game. That's a distinct possibility, albeit incredibly unlikely. So Carolina is going to have to really, really work hard 5-on-5, but we've got a lot of good news when it comes to that. So I sent out invites to Sam and AB. Let me know, or let me tell them. Yeah, sorry this is kind of disjointed, guys. Not being able to have my slides is like THG not having his whiteboard. Coconut Kyle says, one eye on this and one eye on the Panthers game, dying for the second win. Yeah, I didn't even get to like watch that today. I had to go to work for a little while. Was fetching KK on the ice, doubt it. Yeah, no, we'll always take penalties. Not to mention, like we saw the other night, how easily they gave Brenda Moore that one penalty and everything. So we have been joined. And let me get it pulled up here. There we go. Sam, good to see you, pal.
Yeah, nice to see you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. And I if I can hear you, the audience can hear you. Chat, can you hear him? Alrighty. So let me consult the notes right here. All right. So as far as winning elements, I have 4 things here, and I would like for you to add anything that you would like to add in regards to it and give me your thoughts on every one of them. This is going to be one of the reoccurring things on Landfall Hour. So number 1, play with speed more so than normal. Reason being is because Washington is since Carberry took over, Washington has also instituted a man-to-man type of defense, but Carolina can make separation without the puck and gap up faster than Washington. We have another one.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, bro? Give me 1 second to remove the banner so that it doesn't look like you're just a floating head.
No worries.
There we go. All right. But so that's the whole thing about it is Washington has instituted a man-on-man system, but they're not as fast as Carolina is. So according to the Edge data, the team average is 0.55 higher for Carolina on top speed and burst speed. So you have that advantage there where you can create separation faster, you can gap up faster, and you can not allow them to play that type of suffocating defense 5-on-5 that they've been able to play against other teams. We can prevent them from doing that to us. And then as far as the defensive zone goes, they're not going to beat us at our own game. So that's the first thing that I would say for that. Second thing being is if you shut down the Ovechkin, Protas, Strome line, you probably win this game. That's where they're getting their biggest net positives among forwards right now. And then the third thing, which is the score or prevent column. This is where I say if Carolina scores this many goals, they win, or if they prevent this many goals, they win. I will say if Carolina scores 4 goals, they win this game regardless. If they prevent 2 or greater, they win this game regardless. As far as who has advantages and what, overall 5-on-5 play, Carolina has an advantage, but it's close. Top 6 forwards, I will give Carolina a close advantage. Overall forward depth chart, I give Carolina a definitive advantage. Penalty killing, Carolina, I give a slight advantage. Power play, I give Carolina a definitive advantage. Goaltending, I give Carolina a definitive advantage. As far as scoring ability of the forwards, I give Washington a advantage there because they are scoring at a very, very high rate right now. So as long as Carolina plays good, 5-on-5 defense, hems them in their own end, get the forecheck going, don't let them out, because all of their defensemen, even without Chikrin in the lineup, all of their defensemen like to move the puck up ice quick and join the rush. They like to generate a lot of odd man rushes that way. They don't like to hold on to it for very long in their defensive zone. They don't like to cut back. They like to get it up ice quickly and get on the attack. Kind of like Carolina, but a little bit more emphasis on the offense as opposed to the defensive side of things. Gentlemen, please let me know what you think.
I would say I definitely agree. If you look at the Capitals of last season, they played a very defensive type of game. This season, they've opened up and they're getting a lot more offense. But I think if Carolina, here's the thing, if they can get to their forecheck like they did against Boston and the other games where they've won, they can absolutely win because it's that forecheck that kind of drives the team, I would say, with how they play. So we'll see how Carolina does. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're bound to lose at some point because it's an 82-game season. You're going to lose games, but I still think Carolina can beat Washington.
Mm-hmm. AB?
Well, I will say, I think out of all of us, I think Washington kind of shocked us because if you look at their offense and they have Pierre Luc Dubois, and you don't know what you're getting from him. You know, the Capitals have so much money in their main roster. There's not a lot of depth in their system. But Ovechkin has been playing extremely well. Their power play has been solid, and Darcy Kemper didn't work out in Washington, and Charlie Lindgren came in and pretty much led them to a playoff spot. And now they have Logan Thompson, who's a very good goaltender. My thing is obviously when you play Washington, if you go on the power play, Ovechkin's what, 30, 38, 39? I don't care how old he is. That one-timer is the most beautiful one-timer in the NHL. And if you have him up top and that one-timer goes,
it's the most beautiful one-timer in the NHL for now, because we all know who's going to take that title next year.
Yeah. But
the day is coming. Because I'm gonna be like Ovechkin, who the first time that Nikishin drops a clap bomb and scores on his very first shot in the NHL.
But when we look at Washington, they have a lot of older guys. Obviously, Nicholas Backstrom is probably not going to play anymore. He was a pivotal part of their core. You have TJ Oshie, who's getting older, and you have Ovechkin, who is getting older but is not slowing down. You have Dylan Strome, who has been very good. And Mangiapane's been very good. John Carlson's been very good. Chikrin's been good. And Sandin's been good. I mean, this team is, when you look at Washington, it's a sneaky team. And in the Metropolitan, you look at the Hurricanes, you look at the Rangers, they have all the talent, especially with New Jersey, same thing. But Washington has become a team where, yes, they won the Stanley Cup in 2018, finally. And a lot of their depth was to these older guys now who are not here anymore.
Well, I mean, that team's pretty much gone, though. It's like, that was
gone.
Jay Beagle, Brooks Orpik. I mean, fuck him especially.
Especially in the Hurricane series in 2019.
Yeah.
But Washington, I don't agree how they manage their minor league system, but they're very sneaky and they've gotten hot. And their goalie tandem kind of reminds me of Anderson and Ronta when they were hot. So the keys to the game is do not take penalties, stay off the penalty kill, have the defense dominate the offense. Like you said about Washington's offense, they're more offensively heavy and not defensively balanced like Carolina is. And just attack. That's pretty much it.
If we keep them in their own end and we don't let them have neutral, I mean, that goes for almost any team, but
they're a slower team.
They are, but it's like the more you keep Washington out of the offensive zone, the better, because they're making the most of their opportunities when they have the puck. They're scoring at a very, very high rate right now. Now, personally, I don't think that that's going to last. Reason being is because they've been at home the whole time. Now, here's where Carolina's biggest advantage is, and this was one of the sub notes that I wrote on winning elements.
Okay.
Washington has played 3 games on the road. They won 2 of them, and they needed greater than 5 goals for both of them, I believe. I will double check myself on that. I should have wrote that part down. They lost 1 game against Tampa where they got shut out. Stop me if you've heard that before, where that happened to another team that we happen to know. But the thing about it is, Washington seems like they're reliant that they have to score 4 or greater to win, and that is harder to do on the road, where they're playing a man-on-man system now, a little bit slower version than what we do. However, where we have a big advantage today is with having last change. And then you can basically build a fortress around winning faceoffs, taking possession, dictating what you do with possession the entire time. And like I said, if Carolina manages to get 4 or greater, I think they win this game regardless of what Washington does. If Washington is held to 2 or less, I think Carolina wins this game regardless of how many they score. So that's why I look at it as a term of how many do you need? Okay, if you don't get that many, how many do you need to prevent? And then you come out ahead either way. So that's why I think that like this is going to be a tough game. But if Washington does not put Carolina away in the first 2 periods, Carolina will take it to them in the third.
It's also because of speed.
Yeah.
It's speed.
Yeah. And them playing a man-on-man style like us, we're faster. We can create separation faster. We can close gaps faster. They're not going to have all the time and space to move the puck that they had before.
You know, it's interesting. You look at their goalies. None of them have at least a 900 save percentage, and Thompson or Lindgren. So I would say if the power play can get back to form, you could take advantage of their goaltending right now.
That reminds me, I'll pull that back up because before you guys jumped in here, I had this up there. So Charlie Lindgren's 3-2-0 with a 2.62 goals against average and an 8.82 save percentage. Washington is not winning.
Fantasy team.
Washington is not winning games because of goaltending.
No,
we're not necessarily either, but I feel like we're a little bit more complete, especially if you're talking about the defense and the depth forwards, even though we choose to spread our depth forwards throughout the lineup. And that's why we have Eric Robinson and Martin Necas sharing points, which I'm not complaining about. I owe Eric Robinson a big apology because like, I didn't say anything negative about him, but I'm like, I feel like this is kind of redundant. We already got Martinook. Blake's probably going to make the team. And I'm like, holy, like this guy is good. Like he fits so well with us. I could see him staying here for a while. And William Carrier too. It's like, I was like, okay, good utilitarian depth forward. No, he's more than that. This guy works his ass off in all 3 zones and there's results to show for it.
I will say this. If you look at a lot of teams, they want to put their top players on the first line and their second top players on the second line and their third top players on the third line and fourth line. What I like about Rod so much is he balances everything out. Okay, you could easily put Necas, Svechnikov, and Aho and have Jarvis, Kokoniemi, and Roslovic. But what I like about the line so much, we've seen Roslovic on the top line, and he's the leading goal scorer for our team. You have Svechnikov, who's a power forward. You have Aho, who's a playmaker, two-way forward. You have Roslovic, who is more offensively and upside. And then you look at the second line. Eric Robinson gets down in the dirty areas. You have KK, who's a little bit of a playmaker. Marty Necas is a playmaker, also shooter, and he's having a great year this year. And that's what I love so much about this team is that we don't focus on the money and how good the player is last year. We have the ability to have a balance, and especially the third line. You had Carrier, Martinook, and Stahl together at one point, and I think it was a smart move to move down Carrier with Drury and Blake. It's a little bit of a balance there, and I don't see that much in the NHL, and that's what I love about Carolina is they balance everything out. They're not worried about goals; they're worried about winning, getting in the dirty areas, and playing 60 minutes a game.
You know what? That's a good point. I'm going to pull something up here, even though I can't show it on the screen because the split screen stuff doesn't work for me very well. But I do want to talk about one thing as far as how Carolina's distribution is going with offense among the forwards. So let's see here. All right. So the lines that we've been using lately. Let me change it up, put it up by. All right. So there's all right. So goals percentage. All right. Here's how well that some of these lines are working. Robinson, Kokanemi, and Natchez, 80% goals percentage, four goals for, 1 against. Carrier, Drury, Blake, 4-4, 2 against, 66.7%. Roslovic, Aho, and Svechnikov, 50%, 2-2, but I think that's going to get better because the top 6 has been shaken up so much, if that's what you want to call what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Go ahead, Sam.
So, like what AB said, I mean, there is definitely pros of spreading out the offense, so I'm not going to discard that entirely, but it is easy to say that it's going so well when you have a 5-game winning streak. I've always gone by the philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, while I mean, both Sam and I mean, we agree probably having Jarvis with Marduk and Stahl. While that's good, we also think long term
They
that
played
might not
together
be the
before.
best. Right? They have.
Well, that and one other thing I think to consider is I think the lines being shaken up like that might have been because they were on the road and they were trying to get a more even distribution without last change. At home, they might do something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's true. But I will say this, Kokanemi,
he's bouncing back.
I doubted you in the beginning. It's early, but if you keep up the pace, I am sorry.
Well, I'm actually really pissed off at him that he scored the other night because I wanted him to have a 0 goal and 50 assist season. I really wanted that.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Okay. Hold on. If there was one person that would happen to, it would be Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Never underestimate his ability to not. Do not underestimate his ability to not score a fucking goal.
Oh, Kotkaniemi is like a drunk guy trying to play that duck shooting game. He can't hit anything. I was surprised he scored. I don't know if it was.
I think he was too.
But I was shocked. And he knew
Korpisalo
after he scored the goal, he was just kind of like, eh.
He's like, oh shit, I finally did it.
I scored.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can keep it up, but he's playing very well. If he starts to score, hopefully it's not like last year. He starts off hot and then just falls off a cliff.
Yeah, let's get to some more of the comments here because are both you guys going to the game?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I am. I'm taking one of my buddies who's in the military reserves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's really cool is I'll be down there next weekend or weekend after next, whenever it is.
Next week.
Yeah, the 16th and the 17th or 15th and 16th or whatever it is.
This upcoming week. I think.
No, it's next weekend, 16th and 17th. I just looked at it on the calendar. That's when I'll be down there.
Yeah, that's right.
Coconut Kyle says, speaking of hating the Capitals, Penzor was up there for the most hated individual players. Yeah, he's in my top 5 of I fucking hate you players. Hell, Washington
suck my fucking dick.
Didn't he injure Eric Cole?
No, he nearly paralyzed Eric Cole.
He almost killed him.
Yeah. Fuck him. That guy was biggest piece of shit. And you know what's funny? I remember watching Washington fans flip on a dime their opinion of him because when he played for Pittsburgh, they hated him. And they're like, oh, he's a dirty fucking player. And the moment he starts playing for Washington, he's not dirty. He's just physical. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
That's like saying Jacob Trouba is a two-way defenseman.
Yeah, 2 ways, elbow here and elbow there. That's the only 2 ways about him is one on his left and one on his right. Let's see. Yep, the Cole hit. Yeah. Was surprised we hit the ground running with the new signings and the slew of departures. I kind of was too. This has definitely exceeded expectations, but here's my whole thing about it. Let the record show I was the first one that said Shane Gostisbehere is better than Brady Shea. And I got fucking accosted for it.
And he is.
And he is. It's like, and I explained this. Why did Brady Shea end up making more money? And I'm like, well, Brady Shea had a stable environment where he continued to have consistently good seasons and building his resume. Shane Gostisbehere hadn't had that between the last 2 years of Philadelphia, where he had a bunch of injuries. He went to Arizona, revitalized his career, and then came to Carolina. And not to mention the closer your contract.
And then he went to Detroit.
Then
but I will say this: Steve Yzerman is a fucking idiot for not keeping him.
Gostisbehere wasn't going to stay there. I think he wanted to come back here. I really do. I'm surprised it didn't work out keeping him the first time, but he's ultimately making more money like this.
Here, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry.
But oh, you're good, bud. But it's like the reason why Gostisbehere is not making as much money as Shea is because the closer your contract expired to 2020, the more you got fucked financially because the entire landscape of the league changed because of the whole COVID thing and everything like that. I will walk you in a couple of minutes, buddy. I promise. I'll walk you in a couple of minutes. So that was one of the reasons. And two, Shea's value just got massively inflated because of how well he... Oh, it's all good. Shea's value got inflated a lot because of him playing here. He earned his money. That's fine. You know, it's like I've already got some chirps loaded up for when I come down there when Nashville's in town because I'm going to let Brady Shea have it. It's all in good fun. I like Shea, but Gostisbehere is a superior player in almost every way. The only thing that Shea is better at, he's marginally better at 5-on-5 defense, and he kills penalties. However, the other night when Burnsy took the puck in the net, Gostisbehere was the first guy over the boards to take his place. So, you know, and we've seen lately, and I posted a little video of some of the clips I have of him making defensive plays. He's done some Slavin-like stuff on the defensive side of things at times. I never saw Brady Shea really leave his feet to break up 2-on-1s the way that Shane Gostisbehere does. You know, Shea was more about gapping up on you really quick and laying the body on you. Gostisbehere is more about playing a telegraphing style defense, and that's why I think he's ultimately credited with more shot blocks than Shea is, and Shea's definitely more of a physical player and everything. And a lot of people, Shea's a lot bigger. Gostisbehere, I think, skates a little bit better, but Shea's a little bit more stable on his feet. Who has really exceeded my expectations, who I'm starting to think might actually be more on par with Brett Pesce on the defensive side of things than we thought, is Sean Walker.
I'll tell you a story. Not a story. The last session we had, if you haven't, go watch it. We had Mike and Shane on. No, go away, Sam. But we were talking about also the lineup of where we lost a lot of people that we wanted to keep that were high names. But Mike said that the beauty of the game is it's not played on paper. And Shane also talked about Gostisbehere just being in the system, playing very well. And he also said this about Sean Walker, and I agree with it. I think Sean Walker, for a defenseman, has the best skating ability out of any the top 10 of defensemen in the NHL. I mean, this guy is just so two-way. Defensive heavy a little bit, but he's all around the ice. And
that's what we need to have someone with Gostisbehere, though. We need a safety valve,
and
he can shoot.
Two offensive defensemen on a line with Gostisbehere, and it worked out with Orlov. You have Chatfield and Walker can do a little bit. I'm glad he got that goal against the Bruins, and the Bruins suck, by the way. But it's just so crazy that we got this guy for 6 years, I believe.
5 years.
And he's playing phenomenal. And I want to tell all Canes fans this: just because a person doesn't put up points doesn't mean that they're not effective on the ice.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Carolina fans actually have a greater appreciation of players who don't put up a ton of numbers. It's like, okay, think about some. Yeah, Slavin let's think about some of the fan favorites that we've had in the past here. Slavin, Nick Wallin, Aaron Ward, Sean Hill, Glenn Wesley, Chad LaRose.
Yeah, Rod Brindamore, Eric Stahl, Jordan. Oh, God. What just happened there? All right, I'll pick it up while he's doing that. Yeah. Eric Stahl, Jeff Skinner, Cam Ward, you had Dougie Hamilton. You have Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov. Peter Mrazek was a big fan favorite at one point. Justin Williams. Hey, you have fan favorites. The same. Am I missing anybody?
That
you liked?
That I liked. Oof.
Yoni
liked-
Tikkanen was a good one.
I liked Nathan Gerby.
Nathan Gervey, he was tiny, but he could play. He could play.
Yep, but we also had a lot of mediocre, bad defensemen.
Well, we were in the dark ages for forever.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Elias Lindholm was good.
Remember Jay Harrison?
Who?
Jay Harrison.
Do you remember what was his name? Was it Ryan Murphy?
Oh yeah, Ryan Murph the Smurf. Yeah.
Oh God, he just
remember that
disaster. I'm
yeah,
trying to think who else. Hannafin was pretty popular. Justin Falk.
Yeah. Oh, Falk was a fan favorite.
Yeah, he was a fan favorite.
He got me free queso.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that too.
So you had Rod Brindamore, Jeff Skinner. I'm trying to think who else was in the early 2000s. Ron Hainsey, he was a good player.
Oh, Ron Hainsey was basically the defensive defenseman of the Dark Ages until Slavin came
But
up.
anyways, I gotta go. I gotta go to the game.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon, for having me on, Sam.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Sorry, I accidentally unplugged my monitor.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I got my cord. So I've got my steering wheel right here when I play iRacing and everything, and I detach it from the front of the desk, and I accidentally pulled on it and pulled my monitor out. But that's about all I really had for the show. We'll finish up the comments here, and then we'll call it a day and get ready for the game.
Yeah, we were talking about fan favorites, and I already see like Bates Spectacular and UC. I loved UC Jokinen.
I did too.
Oh man.
Catherine Bartlett says, new guys are meshing well, but I still think Svech, Aho, Natchez should be the top line. There's going to be a time where they're going to have to try that. At some point or another, when our offense dries up, and it will happen because it happens to everybody, then I think that'll be a time to try it. You know, it comes a time where you do have to front load the lines, and I think Rod knows that. Coconut Kyle says, was really hoping for KK bounce back. Yeah, I knew he could do it. It's just last year was a snowballing bad luck, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and most players have a season like that. There's very, very few that avoid that.
Yeah, and it's still wait and see with KK because if you remember last season, he started out really well. So I think once we get to like 30, 40 games into the season, he's still putting up pretty good points. Then I would say, yeah, he is bouncing back.
Yeah. And see, the other thing about it is KK's just got to bridge the gap. If everything goes according to plan, he's just got to bridge the gap until Felix Unger-Storm is ready, and then he can go into that third line center role. Because imagine the future with a line with him and like any combination of him, Robinson, Carrier,
Blake, maybe
Blake, Trikazov. You know,
Nadeau.
it would be no. I wouldn't even put him with Nadeau. I want him to be on a physical line. I want him
physical. Okay,
that's why I'm saying if you put someone like, because he's been hitting people and it's showing in his game that when he's confident, he plays physically. But imagine in the future, you have a line with him, Jordan Martinook, and Gleb Trikazov, or him, Jordan Martinook, and William Carrier, something like that. Like, then you have a really physical, hard working line that takes up a lot of space really quick. That line would be really hard to play against. And then at that point, I think that's when Kotkaniemi is going to really settle in and be what he should be for the rest of his career. And the expectations will be off of him being a second line center, and then he'll excel as being just a middle six center that you can move up and down the lineup as you need to. Because a couple of seasons ago, Kotkaniemi was even killing penalties. That's how confident Rod was in him. So if he can get back to that and actually be that Jordan Stahl replacement, as a lot of people have called him, and I saw him that way too, with a little bit more of an offensive upside.
I have too.
That's why it's like if he settles into that third line role, I mean, it's almost like he took a Jordo-like path in his career. Jordo was at one point in time our top line center in the dark ages, if that's what you can call what we had. Then he bumped down to the second the year that we broke the drought and went to the conference finals because Aho took over the first line center spot definitively. Mm-hmm. And now Jordo's the bottom six center that just kills penalties all the time. Doesn't have to be on the power play. He takes the important draws against the big line. Like tonight, he's going to be really, really important against the Strome Ovechkin Protus line.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be going up against that line. But I mean, I would still say Jordan Stahl, like he's 35, 36 something years old. I still think so, he's one of the best. He's one of the best defensive centers
He
in
is.
the NHL.
Yeah, I'm hoping that somehow he can get a Selke before his career is over. But the problem with it is the Selke is not for the best defensive forward. It's the best defensive forward with 60 points, and he's not going to do that. That's
Yeah,
what bothers me about it.
Same thing with the defenseman trophy, Norris.
Yeah,
The Norris
Slavin will
trophy.
never have one because he's never going to put up 100 points. Now, do I think Slavin is capable of it if he really, really wanted to? Sure, but he's not going to sacrifice the defensive side of his game. That's one of the reasons I like him so much. You know, it's like, it is exhilarating to me to watch Jacob Slavin break up a 2-on-1 because he left his feet at the right time, or him to block a shot and then do those subtle little things like make that second effort kick to make sure. Because one of the things, like the video that I'm making about Slavin, it's almost done. Like, that's why I showed you guys the thumbnail things to get your opinions on it. One of the things I've noticed about Jacob Slavin, when he poke checks people, he doesn't just poke check them to get the puck away from him. He intentionally steers it towards one of his teammates. There are very, very few people who are that cerebral that they can basically poke check somebody and make a play with one hand in one motion and do it that quickly. It's amazing to me. And that's one of the reasons that, like, I think that out of all the pure shutdown defensemen in the league, he's one of the most underappreciated, but he's the most appreciated by his own fan base. I see a lot of Slavin sweaters every time I go.
I do too.
There's almost as many of him as there are of Aho and Svech. And Jarvis now. Jarvis has become such a popular player. Let's finish up these comments here, and then I got to walk this dog because I should have walked him when I got home, but I was trying to start the show on time. Almost like watching Nate just play D. Yeah, and he's got a good defensive game to boot. Ray Whitney, yep. Jeff O'Neill. Ronnie Franchise, I'm kind of pissed about what he's doing to Brendamore with the Hall of Fame thing. But I can't deny that he was a great player for us.
Yeah, he was an important player for us.
Catherine Bartlett says Ghost's offense comes in zone and Walker's offense is on the rush and jumping into the play. Yes, absolutely. Once the forwards learn to anticipate Walker, he'll put up a lot more points. Yeah, and he also is smart about when he jumps in the rush. If it's not an advantageous situation for him to do so, he won't do it. As he gets more comfortable, he'll be doing that more often. Bates Battaglia. Yep. UC Jokinen. The poke check is such an underutilized move. Yes, especially in this day and age. All right, everybody. We're going to call it a show. I look forward to showing you guys all the new formats and stuff I'm going to have for this, because once everything is working the way it's working, it's going to have like bar graphs in it and shit for every episode. So, Sam, thank you very much for joining me. Please let everyone know where they can find you, even though I'm pretty sure we share an audience already anyway.
Yeah, so they can find the Caniac Report on Twitter, Instagram, most recently TikTok. So you can follow us on TikTok too. And we're on YouTube. So that's where you can find us.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, buddy. I will talk to you during the game. I will probably be texting you.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, man. Thanks, bud.
No problem. I'm back.
And everybody else, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I'm going to go take a shower. And then when my girlfriend gets home, we're going to go out and watch the game. So it has been an absolute pleasure with all you guys. I really appreciate you being here and everything. Thank you for all the support and everything. And I got a lot of good stuff coming that I'm working on. I will not be here next week. If you get Landfall Hour next week, it will be written, but I highly doubt it's going to happen at all. I don't think there's going to be any self-service where we're going to be at, because we just both kind of want to unplug from civilization. We're taking the doggies with us in the process. So we're just going to get away from stuff. So you may not hear from me next week. Don't worry, I'm not dead or any of that shit. And I will be back to cover the game on Saturday against Colorado. Y'all take care. Thank you again for all the support. I will see you next time.